In this episode, things get serious. Our hero gets fired by SPCA Montreal for being an evil, heartless criminal. According to soccer rules, before getting sent off the pitch with a red card, players are most of the time shown a yellow card. This is basically a warning that further insanity will not be tolerated. I discovered that SPCA Montreal does not believe in yellow cards. The morning after I sent that tongue-in-cheek email, I was told, via email, that I was fired. There were no phone calls or face-to-face meeting to present or explain the decision. This was very surprising. You see, the shelter was firing me a month before July 1st. In Montreal, on that day, many people move every year, and there is therefore a spike in pets abandoned. Many shelters are then flooded with dogs, cats, and work. 2021 was expected to be so bad, in fact, that a few months before, the shelter had launched a recruitment drive to beef up its dog walker ranks. And in order to do that, I had volunteered to chaperone trainees to help the shelter promote them faster. So when I received the news that I was fired, I was especially shocked. You need people right now, so much so that you need me to train them. What could I possibly have written to shock you so badly? So I wrote to the head of HR, who is now involved, and asked what was so offensive in my email. Everything in the email was professional, PG-13 rated. There was no name calling, no insult of any kind. I only questioned the wisdom of one decision. The HR head claimed that the firing revolved around the key sentence I read at the end of the last episode. I won't read it for you again, but it's shown on the slide. To this day, I'm not sure whether explaining the unexplainable or making at the very least a nonsensical move, or both are the offensive statements. But that was not the only thing. The shelter also did not find my math examples funny. It was throwing me a Rubik's Cube-like puzzle. In addition to lacking any supplemental health insurance for any accidental injuries sustained while walking an unruly dog, the head of HR clarified that volunteers, unlike regular staff, had no right to make any workplace-related complaint. There is just no process for it. If a supervisor, manager, makes an insulting remark, well, the only avenue was to quit. I explained that the examples in my email were meant to show how they, the SPCA Montreal, were insulting me and all their volunteers. How else was I supposed to explain that? So that's how I went from being a smiley, eager volunteer to a sad ex-volunteer. I also later found out that I was now an infamous, blacklisted ex-volunteer. That is also why today I'm not giving my name. I'm not proud of that, but you see, after the experience I just described, I don't know how they will react to these videos, assuming they don't ignore them altogether. They could see them as highlighting that the house has burned and that it now needs some fixing, or they could come after me. I don't mind being insulted, call me a chicken, devil, or worse. If it makes you feel better, by all means, go for it. You should know by now that I personally prefer poop. I find that its emoji perfectly captures how I feel after this adventure, but I don't want to constrain anyone's imagination. Seriously now, what worries me are not the insults, but the frivolous claims the shelter could launch. The SPCA Montreal can take away pets for a while, and even though various courts could overturn those moves, it could cause much lengthy separations along with all sorts of crazy costs in the meantime. Now, although my treatment of the shelter's dogs was good enough for the SPCA Montreal to let me walk their stray dogs for 18 months for free, since me and my loved ones have pets, I prefer to be careful. I am not looking for any sort of recognition anyway. At the end of the day, I could look like any of the gentlemen on this slide, and it would not change one iota to the message. And that's what I would like everyone to focus on.